Hey everyone, it's Janet again, speaking to you from Wimbledon, Southwest London. I hope you're feeling well, and that's what we're going to talk about today: mental health and well being. I think we should talk about that. A little disclaimer: I'm not a psychologist, but I'm trying to do a short term course in psychology and writing. I have a legal background and I've worked in the public and private sector. I have also an interest in nutrition and fitness because people in that area have looked after me in the past, and I've also worked with social services and I've met people with mental health and so on. I'm not a psychologist. I've not had any huge mental health issues, but I've suffered bereavement. Therefore, my mental health did depreciate during the bereavement, and having to move into this place around the time it happened. I had to continue with my moving house because I was in the middle of moving house. And moving was the best thing that happened to me. It gave me the time to have that time to myself. Even the lockdown was one of the best things, but I still had my moments, you know. So basically, you don't have to be a psychiatrist to talk about mental health, you know. My channel talks about natural hair day beauty tips, basic cooking, basic hair tips for fantastic results, and just general well-being and how to take care of yourself physically and emotionally. Trying to get nice, nutritious food. My Instagram and Facebook page will show you all those foods, without breaking the bank and without being on a strict diet. So my channel is a well-rounded thing. We also talk about fun. When I start reading another book now, we will talk about the different books I read, and I'll definitely talk about all the films I watch in the cinema. I'm a passionate cinema goer. I love films. So there you go. And I have the Amazon and the Netflix and whatever, but I still think that the cinema is number one. And the cinema is fantastic for your mental health. So without further ado, view, like, share, and subscribe. Remember, I am not a professional therapist. This is just my own experience, and also this is just about what I have seen and what is in the public domain, and how we can advise people on that, and what I feel about this woke world and why a lot of us are talking about mental health. I think there are people who have genuine issues of mental health, but I think that people are trying to use mental health to be nasty to people or narcissistic to people and do whatever they like. So that's not right. But I am glad that we have got SIMONE, BILES, NAOMI, Ben Stokes, cricket player, Naomi OSAKA, tennis player, who have come out and talked about their mental health. I mean, it's gone as far as Gaza. Gaza is a soccer player in the United Kingdom that had issues in the past. We're talking about the soccer players in the past that had issues, and they just did a documentary on how they were abused by their youth coaches when they were little children, We've had people in the past who they've lost their parents, but they've gone out there to do the Olympics or in football or any stuff and say they're doing this for their parents. So personally, as long as I'm not physically traumatized, God forbid, if I had a tennis mat and my mother just died, I would say I'm doing it for my mother. I would go and do it because that won't bring my mother back. If I don't do it, then I would go and grieve, private, because everything is different. When my mother died, I didn't cry because I had to deal with, we had to deal with the funeral money, death certificate, everything. And then I was also in the middle of moving house, so we had to go and get her stuff from her own house. And then I had to concentrate on moving to my own place and so on, so it's very difficult and it's very an isolating time. And the thing is, when a parent dies, basically that gathering that you get in your family, it can only happen once in a while. It doesn't happen all the time. Everybody goes off and do their own thing. So people's mental health can come into any it can happen to anybody, whether you're rich or you're poor. Now, a lot of people now says that rich people shouldn't be complaining, blah 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 blah. But I find that with gymnastics and tennis, football as well, most of the time you have geniuses from a very young age, and they don't have time to breathe. You know, I had somebody, well, I don't know whether it was a famous swimmer, some swimmer, came out on LBC London. It's a popular radio station. You can get it on Global Player or Amazon. And this person says right from the time they were this little, they were morning till night, it was rehearsing, swimming, gym, rehearsing, swimming, gym, swimming. And when you have the whole world of the weight of the world on your shoulders, you know, it can't be that easy. So before we talk about Simone Biles, I'm gonna talk a little bit about myself, whereby I was from a middle-class family, a legal background, and then when everybody moved out and I tried to move out and I was in college, I saw myself sharing with a senior member of my family, and we entered I was in a temporary accommodation in Wimbledon until I moved into with another member of my family, but person was a female senior member of my family. When my relative Fanny found a place being an over 50s and over 60s person, eventually I had to go from living in private big houses, and to come and say that I didn't have the sort of money that my parents had because in the old days, like 60s, 70s, 80s, my parents, it was easy. The standard of living was actually easy for them to get stuff. And when I moved into my small place, although it wasn't the same, I was happy for one or two people in my family who had big houses, and the rest of us just have small places. And I'm not gonna lie, some of us, not all of us, have private mortgages. My home is a residence association, what you call subsidized housing, but it's a small home in a suburb in London where almost everybody here is partly private or privately leaseholders and so on. So who knows the difference? My home is cheap to run, and that's all there is. Whether I'm working or not, I'm always able to afford my bills-ish anyway. So there you are. So pressure can come into anywhere. It can come any form. When we had the funeral of my parents 2015 and 2016, for the very first time, not because of their money, I wasn't depending on them, but circumstances changed. I took a career break and my finance just dove down so much that I would eat probably just once a day. And I even had help from charities and so on. That's not good on your mental health. And because in England, we have a waiting list, I was not ready to go and speak to somebody face to face. So I had to deal with online therapy, which sometimes I'm still trying to get back into. So I wasn't really ready to speak to somebody face to face. Online therapy and chat therapy. And I feel that I still feel like I need to do more. Because ever since COVID, it just gives me these memories of the past, you know, about my parents. I mean, I'm very lucky that my parents passed before COVID, and my grandparents. I didn't have to worry about them, but I'm sure they would have taken the jabs, you know. So let's talk about Simone Biles. They heard about her during the last Olympics or something like that, and or the last World Championship. She is so young, unlike other gymnasts. Them being sexually abused by the team doctor, and the world is expecting you to get 5 girls. Although my mindset is I'm very strong because I went to boarding school. So basically, if I'm gonna go out there in a tennis, I'm going there to win, nothing else. But if I don't win, it's not the end of the world. So I do feel that if young people are taught and older people are taught that there are other things in life that are more important, like your peace of mind, your well-being, and your mental health. That's the way it is. I get, yes, they have money now, they have privilege and all that. Money doesn't necessarily buy your happiness, but it makes things better. I wouldn't mind that money. I'm not going to shun that money, because I would be in a bigger house anyway. I would definitely be in a bigger house, and I would not have to go to work or start doing applications. So yes, it does bring a bit of happiness though, you know. And also, is what happened. Are you happy with your coach? Are you happy with your training? Recently, there was a huge controversy in the United Kingdom in the United Kingdom. Okay, you know, what's I supposed to do really? There was a big controversy. Yes, in England, majority of the gymnasts, both men and women, girls and boys, said that they were bullied by both female and male coaches. They were humiliated. I think that you can coach somebody without shouting at them and without belittling them. I think that it actually damaged them. There was a documentary, and there's still an investigation on it. Even in the cycling team. Even in the cycling team. Even the Paralympians, the disabled Olympians, the Paralympians haven't been spared. They were also treated. Really, you have to get to a certain level. Look at the sports though. I think a skateboarder or winter sports athlete, I can't remember her name, about before COVID, maybe 2 years ago, actually died. The pressure of getting sponsors. She died. And when people are telling you you're not good enough, don't get me even started with the basketball players and the soccer players. The soccer players are saying your club will drop you, have to go and find another club. You don't know what to do. We need people to talk to this, give them counseling and say that, look, it really doesn't matter. You can find another club. You can start somewhere at some point. We have had people who've been really troubled, sports people particularly, or musical people with drugs, alcohol. You hear they're beating up their wives and girlfriends. I do wonder maybe they had mental health issues. You know, now I'm going to do another video about transgender athletes. I'm going to do that soon. So this is sort of drifting into that. We need to show compassion and tolerance. And I know people are worried whether they're being cheated, but we shouldn't gang up on the transgender Olympians. Everybody just wants a fair deal. So we need to show a little bit of kindness. Although I'm here to talk about the opposing argument. We all go through mental health problem. I grew up in a care home. This. I was on the street. I was on drugs. I was on alcohol. These people are already rich, you know. It's true. Technically, you're right. They can afford a therapist. Maybe they are in therapy. Do you understand that they're probably already in therapy? And that's what they're doing, to take time to concentrate on their head, you know, on their mental health. Now we have Ben Stokes doing this, the cricket player. I didn't really feel sorry for him with his behavior in that club. I'm not buying that. But maybe he does have mental health issues. Then he can go and do it. But I think what everybody's wary about is that now we're living in this woke world whereby everybody's using mental health. And I really feel that people who are using mental health and they're genuine, they have my compassion and my tolerance and my understanding. Get help. Really get help. When my parents died, I didn't give myself time because I was moving in here, doing myself. I had to get back into another contract. My contract, coincidentally, in the office had finished. I had to get into another contract. In a couple of months to a year, I just stopped that. Because my contract was, oh, sorry, we don't need you again. Sorry, I couldn't get a permanent contract. Then I got government support. And I was in this house and I just took time away. I was very lucky that one of my former bosses in the past, I do some online research for her, voluntary, because I don't want any tax issue when it's not a proper one. So she gives me a reference so she can fill the gap. I mean, without her, I don't know what I would have done. I would have still been on that rat race. And that's why some jobs have not worked out and I've just not taken, you know, it gave me the time to actually concentrate on my mental health and actually gradually try to heal and grieve. It's been over 5 years and, you know, that pain of loss is never going to go away. It's really never going to go away. Sometimes people need time. So which leads me to another group of people. Get a place, get a job, people People should be given subsidized housing, and they should be given government support. Probably a universal basic income, because sometimes, because of people's mental health or emotional health, they may not even know that they need time. People need time to recover. So let's have a conversation about this. If you disagree, please comment. We're all friends here. We want to talk about this too, for and against. Subscribe. Let's talk about this. I'm going to do sort of like a follow-up on this and an update on this. Are rich people and celebrities allowed to claim mental health? If they are genuine, I think they should, because we are all human beings and we need to show compassion. People really need time to heal. I know, because I lost my parents in the space of 2 years, long before COVID. Maybe 3 years before COVID, maybe. And it's not just that. There are people who suffered abuse. There are people who are homeless. There are people who had stuff when they were, I grew up in a big house. And basically, it took me 10 years to even get into my own place. It's always been sharing with somebody or supported housing or blah, 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 blah. And it finally did that, Even though I was independent and I'd move away from parents and all that. But when we moved home, when all my sisters, we shared one place and we contributed to the rent until everybody had started to move into their own place. Do you understand that? It is... In the United Kingdom today, there are people still in their 40s who can't afford a mortgage. So this is why we're praying for more social housing, council houses, subsidized housing. And now they've started to build beautiful homes that look like private homes. But the rents are so low, so people can have an affordable standard of life. And until you're in that place, in that zone where you have peace, happiness, you have security, you can never move forward. So mental health can be, it can be a broad church. It could be so many reasons why you're not ready to walk, or where you need to take time away. I don't think they're doing this on purpose. Do you understand? So what do you think about SIMONE, BILES, NAOMI, OSAKA, Ben Stokes, etc.? Do you think that Gaza, David Beckham, Stan Collymore, the soccer players that were abused, do you think that maybe they should have had that? They all had sports psychologists, but maybe that's for their mental health on physical whatever. I'm talking about their general mental health on living, not just on the physical job that they were meant to do. So let's show a little bit compassion and kindness, tolerance and understanding. If you don't agree, please ding my bell, subscribe, make comments. Let's see what you have to say. I don't really know much about the private life of NAOMI and OSAKA, but I do feel that these athletes are courageous to come out and say, I can't do this right now. I need to take some time away and regroup. Stay safe, everyone.